So obviously the session that you tuned in today is called Beyond the Classroom, Building Connections with Students Through Social Media. Get inspired and learn how to incorporate social media into your teaching practice. So kind of 2023 par for the course. Social media is a huge thing, obviously with us as adults, but obviously kids as well. Formal introduction of myself outside of maybe a paragraph or a bio that you've already read as you got into the session. My name is Dan Schutz. I teach 5th grade in a town called Paw Paw, Michigan. So on the screen there, you'll see a little Michigan map, which I think I'm one of very few people in the world that can use their hand as a map. But for reference, I'm about 2.5 hours west of Detroit, 15-20 minutes west of Kalamazoo. So if you're familiar with the state, not too far away from the big city of Detroit, 2.5 hours. I was there a few weeks ago for a buddy's wedding. That's a fine picture of my classroom. Like I said to the people tuning in from Ohio, you gotta love the Michigan flag. But I've been teaching 5th grade for 7 years. I kind of tell people I've been in the classroom for 9. I was an intern in 5th grade in the same building I'm at now. My mentor teacher is actually still in the building, works in title math. And then I was a long-term sub in 5th grade the following year. So I kind of say to people, I've been around for 9, but it's been 7 full-time years. Some personal stuff about me. I grew up just south of where I live and teach in a town called Three Rivers. It's about the same size as where I'm at now in Paw Paw. I did grow up a 3-sport athlete, football, basketball, and baseball growing up and in high school. I was a sports nut. I still am. I coach in the springtime, but I was fortunate to receive a baseball scholarship to play Division I baseball at Western Michigan University. I played there for 4 years. That's also where I finished my teaching degree in year 5 and then got my teaching degree in 2015. And then fast forward to 2023, and it's been the craziest yet most rewarding roller coaster I've ever been on. And I could do a separate spiel on why I love being a teacher and what impact it's made on me, but that'll be getting off task. Agenda for today, full disclaimer. Like a lot of you, I have sat through many PDs and many virtual sessions in the last couple of years, and you get bored real quick with the same buzzwords and the same, what sounds like to me, the teacher 101 textbook jargon. I'm a very simple guy, so the meme on the screen, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be very simple, easy to follow. The agenda, as you see on your screen, I think it's important. Before I talk about why I use social media, why I think it's important, I want to give some background on how I got my start, how I got to where I am now. And then the most important piece, number 2, why do I use it? Why does a 5th grade teacher in a small town in Michigan, why is he all over social media? Why does he think it's important for teachers to maybe give it a go if you're thinking about it? And then thirdly, I'll close out with some tips and advice to help get you started. Maybe you're on the fence. Maybe you have a TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and you're thinking about how to incorporate more into your life as a teacher. I won't claim to be a 100% expert, but I think some things that I follow, as I create my content might help some of you as well. And before I kind of get going into the spiel, I'm going to throw a poll up on the screen, and it's going to give me a sense of what social media platforms everybody is on. So hopefully on your screen, you will see the poll. Which social media platforms do you currently use? And then I'll talk a little bit about the results after about 30 seconds. Shocker. Facebook looks like the front runner. It's kind of like the Kentucky Derby right now, like a horse race. I'm watching the bars fill up. And looks like we're slowing down. Oh, another 15 seconds or so. It looks like 230 votes out of 366. So get those votes in, and I'll end it here in a few seconds. If you're not on social media, no big deal whatsoever. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it. And just to kind of give you the results, about 86% of those tuning in today are on Facebook. Not surprising. 65% are on Instagram. 25% on TikTok, and then 30% are on Twitter. I didn't throw Threads on there. If you haven't heard of Threads, it's kind of like Instagram's Twitter competition, but that's very, very new, I think, within the last month, so I didn't bother putting that one on there. But kind of the top 2, we have Facebook and Instagram, which are not surprising whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead and end that poll and get rolling with my spiel here. All right. Come on, screen. Whoop, one screen too far. All right, so on the screen, and I'll, again, full disclaimer, I get a little uncomfortable when I talk about my personal profile and my content and my success. I've got buddies that give me a hard time about it, and I always wave them down in public. But on the screen, you'll see screenshots of my primary social media pages on top. You'll see my TikTok on the bottom. You'll see my Instagram. And it's been 3 years. It's been a whirlwind, but I want to discuss how I got to where I'm at because they are fairly large platforms. Very, very happy, very humble to have that platform. But how did I get here? So TikTok specifically, since that's kind of my primary means of content. If you're on TikTok, I got on TikTok when a lot of the world got on TikTok, which was back in 2020. And we all remember 2020 as teachers. It was crazy. School shut down, the world stopped spinning, and we had nothing but time. I did meet with my 5th grade class that year once a week virtually, but we had nothing but time. And I vividly remember before school shut down, because teaching 5th grade, if you're also a 5th grade teacher, 10 and 11-year-olds are very in tune with the trends of the world. They know what's going on. They know the popular music. They know the social media trends. They know everything. So the OG TikTokers, if you remember the Renegade song, if I had to hear that one more time in a 5th grade classroom at snack time or at the end of the day, I thought I was going to lose my mind. I had no idea what they were doing, but it was on repeat. So school shut down. I had time. I downloaded the app out of curiosity and then quickly realized, like, if you're on there, like a lot of you, there's a lot of entertaining things on there. There's a lot of humor. There's tips and tricks. It's kind of like a mini YouTube. You can almost search and find anything you're looking for. But just as equally, as quick as I found that stuff, the positive stuff, I quickly realized there's a lot of negative on there too. There's a lot of things that I wish my students didn't watch. There's a lot of content creators that have massive platforms that I don't believe use them in a positive manner. No knock on them as people. It just, there's a lot of content I wish my kids didn't watch. So I decided, what the heck, I'm going to be a TikToker with no goal in mind of getting to where I'm at now. So I made a few videos early on, and it was like humor. It was jokes about myself, jokes about my job, jokes about interactions with my students, just the life of a teacher in general. And all it did was, when we were virtual together that one time a week in 2020, it gave us something to talk about in the first 5 or 10 minutes of class. They'd make fun of me and tell me I was cringy. They'd tell me, hey, you need to dance. Charlie D'Amelio dances and she's famous. You need to dance. And I just shake my head and say, y'all don't want to see that. And then as 2020 wore on and we got closer to the official, I guess, summer, if you will, I came across some content creators. They weren't in education, but they were using this unique format where they were talking to the phone camera as if it were a person. It was this POV style of video. And they were offering up advice. They were offering up encouragement, motivation, inspiration. And I thought it was a really unique way to deliver content. And I thought to myself, I think I can use that style of video to share my experiences as a teacher, to share my experiences with my students, to share the snippets of conversations that I've had with them over, 7 full-time years, into my 2 extra years, so 9 years. So I started to make those POV videos and really, really quickly realized that the response from people that saw them and watched them was huge. Over time, that's been my primary mode of content, is that POV style video where I share a conversation that I've had with a 10 or 11-year-old. So for example, a student that came in late with dirty clothes, a student that fell asleep in class, a student that needed extra food because they didn't have enough at home, things like that. And that's been the primary reason you see the numbers on your screen. I've taken my TikTok videos and I've translated them into Instagram Reels, and that's been a reason why my Instagram has grown significantly. I've also used my profiles to kind of share my opinions in education, my beliefs, my philosophies. It's funny, for a guy speaking at a conference, I'm naturally a little more introverted, I think. So like at staff meetings or other PDs that we've had in person, I don't say a whole lot, not because I don't have a lot to say, but I've always been a learner by listening and watching and then just applying what I've seen. I get that from my dad. He's a very quiet man. My brothers, we're all the same, very quiet, very introverted, but social media has given me a platform to share those experiences and those opinions. The next slide, just to kind of give everybody a snippet of what I'm talking about as far as the style of content I make. I'm going to give you 2 example videos that have been up on my TikTok for a while. The video on the right is what I'm going to click first, and this is kind of that POV style of video that I was referring to. So hopefully they worked this morning when I practiced. Hopefully this video cooperates for you as well. Come on. So there's that. Hopefully the sound worked for you. It was working on my screen, so hopefully you guys heard it as well. And then this is a video. Like I said, I've used this platform to kind of share some of my philosophies and my opinions. Again, being more introverted, it's given me the confidence to kind of show the world kind of what I believe education is all about. So here's video number 2. Oh, don't lag on me. Start that over. Video 1 works so perfectly. So I know that one probably lagged a little bit for you, but just to keep the agenda moving. So those are just some examples of my content, and then obviously, you know, I love to golf, so there's a few golf videos on my content. There's videos of a day in the life of a teacher outside of school. So it's not all education, but primarily I do use my social media platforms for the video examples that you see on your screen. But I think the most important part of my spiel today, rather than just talk about how I got to where I'm at, is why do I do it? You know, as a 5th grade teacher, why do I believe it's important to use my platform for what I use it for? And hopefully this is maybe where you guys can gain some inspiration if you're on the fence or thinking about using social media in your classroom or in your role in education. So number 1, you know, it's almost cliche at this point, and I know we hear it over and over, but it's given me another avenue to help build relationships with my kids. So before social media, this was always a strength of mine. You know, being a younger male elementary school teacher, which you don't see very often, I've always had a way of connecting with kids, relating to them, having non-academic conversations with them. You know, it's funny, again, 10 and 11-year-olds are listening to music that I've heard, they're watching YouTube videos I've seen, they're watching movies I've seen. So they're, you know, we can relate on a lot of things, which is weird to say being a teacher, but it's the truth. And what social media has done as far as helping me build a relationship with kids is, you know, I believe that when they're in school for 6-7 hours a day, 10 and 11-year-olds, you know, they lose steam and they lose gas by hour 4. Okay. But I think it's important as teachers to always find time to have conversations with kids that are very non-academic. I don't want to be seen as the talking head at the front of the room that is just the guy that teaches them how to add fractions, teaches them how to do long division. We need to have non-academic conversations throughout the day, whether it's about a hobby, whether it's about their football game or their dance recital they just had, or something going on with their family, or just joking around. That's important. That's huge for connections. That's huge for relationships. And what social media has done is, I mean, every single day, kids in my class, kids that aren't in my class will walk by me and say, dude, I saw you on TikTok. You're that guy that's super cringy. Like, why are you talking like that? You should dance. And I'm like, you know, if y'all don't want to get scared and think I'm having a seizure because this guy has no rhythm in his body. So it's just giving me another outlet, another avenue to joke around and have those really nonchalant, super important non-academic conversations. Number 2, again, I think all 3 of these, to be honest, could be tied for first place. But the second thing on the list is I like to have an open door policy. So what does that mean? So, you know, the last week of school for 7 straight years, I give my kids what I consider the end of the year speech. And one of the most important things that I tell them is no matter where I'm at, whether I'm in Pawpaw in this classroom, or I get a new role somewhere, or I move out of state, my door is quite literally always open. I don't want them to view myself, my teaching partner, or teachers in general as, oh, they were my teacher for 9 months. I'm out of here. See you when I see you. I don't believe in that. I want them to think that there's somebody in their life outside of their family that has their back. So I'll tell them that. If they need to come see me when they're in middle or high school for homework help, just to say hi, maybe they're struggling, they need some advice, I want them to come see me. I tell them my school phone. If you want to take the trouble to look up my school phone number, call it, I'll pick it up. My school email is available. Email me. I just had a student 3 weeks ago, who's going into his junior year of high school. Haven't seen him in forever. I don't think I've seen him actually since the last day of 5th grade. And he randomly shot me an email. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Hope everything's well. How are you? And I just shot back, things are great, man. Hope everything's going well with you. And that's huge. Again, social media, what that's allowed me to do, branching off of that is, I have families get a hold of me on like Instagram, for example. Hey, Billy's baseball game is this Saturday. Hope to see you there. I had 2 students that just graduated high school this past spring. They were in my long-term subclass a few years ago, and they messaged me on Instagram and say, "Hey, I still have my letter that you wrote us in 5th grade. I love to write students letters when they leave my class, just saying goodbye, things like that. Would you mind writing us a letter now that we've graduated high school?" And it kind of took me aback for a second because, yeah, I would love to write you those letters, but it was just surprising to me that, again, students still reach out, on the avenue that they're on. To be honest with y'all, just like us, we probably spend more time on social media than we do sifting through our work email, especially in the summer. I'm not sitting there going through my work email every single day like I would during the school year. So, if I get a message from a high school student that I coach, for example, or a parent, it's an avenue that we can communicate. And just for the record, to clear the air, do I follow my students on social media to stay in contact with them? No, I don't. That's a line I will not cross. But occasionally, like I'll have, a student that just left my room. They're in 6th grade, and I don't know who it is because their username is Fortnite King 42 or 42 or whatever it might be. But I'll see a comment on a video. Hey, missed your class. Hope everything's great. And I'll just chime back really quick. Yep. Hope you're having a good year. Stay out of trouble. Things like that. It's huge. And then lastly, again, this could be up there with number 1 as well, is to make an impact. I think as educators, like we're in this job to make an impact. We're obviously not in it for the pay. We're not in it to just clock in, clock out. Great teachers are here to make an impact. And being on social media has given me that reach that I never thought was possible. On the screen, you're going to see some screenshots of DMs, messages, and comments that I've gotten in the last couple of weeks. Their names and faces are blurred out, obviously. But when I read a message or get a comment that says, my videos are why I'm pursuing education, or my videos are why I'm going back to school and I'm changing my major to become a teacher, like it always makes me stop and think for a second that, I always underestimate the reach that social media can give me. And when I can use it that way, it makes it worthwhile. I don't have this one on there because it was just recently, not sure how old the person was. But somebody reached out to me the other day and said, it was literally one sentence: "You literally saved my life." And reading that it's heavy, it's deep, and it's just the reality where we're at now, where people are on social media and they're looking for something. They're looking for direction. They're looking for help. They're looking for inspiration. And the fact that I've been able to provide that for so many people without realizing it continues to motivate me to do what I'm doing. All right, just glancing at my clock just to make sure I don't run over. I'm about minute 21. I got about 30 minutes total, so we're doing pretty good on time. Last slide, again, is some tips and tricks, things that you can implement now if you're looking to get into the social media space as an educator. And I'll tell you, I am not an expert. I have no idea how the TikTok algorithm works. I have no idea how the Instagram algorithm works. Same thing with YouTube. I don't know how it works. So these are the things that I like to follow. Excuse me. Number 1, if you're going to create content, if you're going to use social media yourself, be real, be yourself. I'll hear kids, and it's a valid career. I want to be a content creator. I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a TikToker like so-and-so and so-and-so. But there's already a Charli D'Amelio. But what do we see? Millions and millions of people trying to recreate what she's done. Dance, 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 sing, 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 hoping to strike gold. LA is going to come call me and I'm going to get to move out there, drive a Lamborghini, and make content forever. It's not going to happen. But what can you do? As teachers, we're a unique bunch because everybody in education is different. Okay, everybody brings something different to the table. So for example, maybe you're the most organized teacher on the face of the planet. Make a video about it. Maybe you've got a unique lesson plan idea. Make a video about it. Maybe you are a brain break, fun at classroom activities guru. Make videos about it. If you were to sit down at the end of the day, I think all of us can go through in 10 minutes and find video ideas if we really want to create content. So be yourself. Number 2, be consistent. What do I mean by that? Back in 2020, the advice was you got to post 2 to 3 times a day. The algorithm is such that you got to flood the platform with your content. and eventually something's going to catch on and you'll be able to grow that way. I don't do that anymore. I had the time in 2020 because you couldn't go anywhere and do anything. I can't do that now, like a lot of you, I'm sure. So at minimum, I would highly recommend one time a day if you're going to post. Again, if you don't have the time for that, it's okay, because I think the algorithm is in a spot now where you don't have to flood the platform with garbage just to get noticed. It is rewarding more positive and more quality content than it used to. So at minimum, I would highly recommend 3 times a week if you're really going to get serious about giving this a go as a teacher. And then lastly, I still struggle with this myself. Content creators just on any space is ignore the numbers. What do I mean by that? If you're going to post a TikTok video tomorrow, maybe it's your first one ever. Maybe you have posted and then took a break because it wasn't doing well. You're going to look at the views, you're going to look at the likes, you're going to look at the number of shares, and you're going to get really disappointed really fast, because we all have unrealistic expectations. I still do the same thing where, I think about a conversation I had with a kid a year or two ago. That's a great video idea. I'm going to make that video. I'm going to put it on TikTok and it's going to resonate with a lot of people, and boom, virality. It doesn't happen like that. I hear that there's this 95-5 rule, to where like 95% of what you post is usually just for your followers. It's for a few people. And then maybe 5% of what you post might go what we call viral. But if you ride that roller coaster of numbers and you get disappointed really quick because, that only got 1,000 views, you're going to get burnt out and it's not going to be that fun. All right. So that is my spiel on at minute 24. So I'm going to go ahead and check the Q&A box to see if there are any questions at this point. There's only 2 right now. I do have a couple of things that I'll address just in case there weren't a whole lot of questions. So I'll go ahead and cover question 1. Have you found ways to connect with students who don't have personal phones or devices, and can you share some of those methods? Love the question. Yes, because being an elementary teacher, I have kids every year, which I prefer it this way, that don't have phones. They don't have social media, and that's how I prefer it. But, the reality is, my 3rd graders that are in this building all the way up, obviously, to 5th grade, they're all on their devices. But what could we do with students who are not on social media? They're not on devices. Something that I love to do, being a sports guy, I'm always sure to ask, like, the guys in my class that play football, hey, you got a football game on Wednesday, Saturday? When is it? Where is it? I'll come watch it. And being able to connect with students outside of school at their sporting events or their dance recital. I see the student every now and again. She didn't have a phone, but she was big into dance. She was on the souped up dance team that traveled the country, and she was at this big state tournament in Grand Rapids a few years ago. And she invited me to go, and I'm like, yeah, sweet, I'll be there. And it just so happened to be like one of the worst blizzards of that particular winter. The drive up was fine. And I drove back from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I was like white knuckling it, and I couldn't see anything. And I was like, I drove in a blizzard to watch you dance. But yeah, as far as, connecting with kids in the classroom, it doesn't have to be outside the classroom. Play a board game with your students, spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes out at recess with them, go spend the last 10 minutes of gym class with them, shoot hoops with them, that kind of thing. Has Twitch or Kick come into play for just chatting? I'm familiar with Twitch because I think that's the video game streaming platform. I'm not sure what Kick is. I'm not sure if the question is asked, is referring to like other methods to communicate with kids. I'm not sure on that one. Let's see. Other questions. What about parents in campus do not like kids following teachers? How do you handle it? Like I said, I don't come into the school year and say, hey, I'm on TikTok, follow me. The reality of being on social media is I do know some students follow me on social media, and if they don't, it's totally okay. I know some parents as well follow me on social media. Actually, I'm putting together my back to school letter that's getting mailed out on Friday, and I put on my meet the teacher form. I do put my social media handles on there, not for publicity, but just to make parents aware of my social media platform is this. If you want to tune in, great. If not, it's no big deal. Let's see. about 3 minutes left in my session here. Let's see. Good one. Actually, I had this question written down. Did you clear it with your school first and we have social media policies? Yes. When I realized that my social media was starting to go in a direction that was bigger than I expected, I went straight to my principal's office and I sat down with him and said, hey, listen, man, this is kind of what's happened. And he laughed at me and he goes, I know what you're going to say. And he was already following me and he already seen a lot of my content. And I've been super blessed in my 7 years to have the same principal that's been more than supportive of not just what I do in the classroom, but what I do on social media. And he obviously and I talk quite a bit. And he obviously is just a voice in my ear reminding me of, like, you know, you got this many people following you. You know, it's awesome, you know, positivity coming out of our district. Just, you know, beware, the internet can be a crazy place. I've also gone straight to my superintendent when I realized that this was getting to a level that was bigger than I expected. And he wasn't as familiar with my social media at the time. But I explained it, I laid it out to him and said, hey, this is what I do on there. This is the type of content I make. And again, he was very supportive, and his words were, you know, I can't quote him verbatim, but it was, there's never enough positivity coming out of a school district. So it's awesome. So yeah, I've been very fortunate with support from administration. I know that's not the case in every single school. I know a lot of teachers on social media, you know, say that I can't make content at school, or my admin doesn't want me posting about class or whatever. But I've been very fortunate to have that support. I got time for one more question here before I got to wrap up. Another good one, I actually was going to address this if there weren't any questions. Do you post any pictures with students? So one thing I do send home, like I said, with my back to school, meet the teacher form and documentation and all that, is a release form. I actually put it together with my principal. Basically, it's just a permission slip to include students in any photos in general. There's actually a district photo release that parents sign. So like if their child gets their picture taken for the yearbook, or their child gets their picture taken and it's posted on like the school Facebook page, I might do the same thing for my classroom, because, you know, I'll post a picture on Instagram of a game we're playing or a review activity. Occasionally I'll make TikTok videos with the kids. And again, it's all explicitly laid out on that permission slip. You know, do you give your child permission to participate? And surprisingly enough, in the 3 years that I've done that permission slip, the 3 years that I've used social media as a teacher, I've only ever had one family just respectfully decline to include their child in that stuff. You know, my brain was always, there's going to be 4 or 5 every year that just respectfully decline. And I've only ever had one, which is great to get parent support as well, because, you know, social media is either a really cool place to some people, or it's a place that can be a little daunting and a little, you know, why is he doing that? But again, I've been fortunate to have parent support and administration support. So I'm looking at my clock, looking at my timer, and I'm at minute 31. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for our session today. I would like to thank everybody, the 324 that are still chimed in, for sticking around. I know that's a unique session to listen to, but it's something I'm passionate about, something I've enjoyed doing. If you want to reach out to me, again, this isn't a plug for my social media, but if you want to reach out with questions that you have that I didn't get to, feel free. My email's on there and my Instagram handles. And then just a last bit of advice. This is how I sign all of my school emails. Be the teacher you needed when you were younger. Just a reminder for all of us to, as long as we show up to the door every day and we do what's best for kids and we keep that in mind, you know, we're gonna reach those kids and get them to where they need to go. So again, thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See ya.